All right. Big debate amongst people I talk to all day. People in the campaign, super PACs, analysts of the data. They're looking at the early vote and the absentee ballots, and we'll talk about that. They're also looking at the private polling data and the public polling data. And the belief, unchallenged, I believe two things are unchallenged by people I've talked to. One is that we've seen movement for Donald Trump, not a huge lead by any means, but movement for the last couple of weeks has been towards Trump. And some analysts believe that that will continue unless the Harris side does something to stop the momentum. And there's a general belief that these states are close, and the Harris campaign has acknowledged this publicly. They're behind in some states. They've said that publicly. They're behind in some states, and they're even in others. If the Harris campaign has any leads, they're not that big. The Trump campaign disagrees. Now, part of that is cultural, not just Republican versus Democrats, where Republicans are more likely to bravado say we're going to win this thing. And certainly in Team Trump, that's a characteristic. But it's also based on their actual data. And that's not spin of data, that's actual data, because I talked to lots of different people, and the Democratic data is the same. So we're dealing with a situation where Vice President Harris continues to overperform in the Sun Belt states because she's got some support there that Joe Biden didn't. And so intrigue about whether she could replace some Great Lake states with some Sun Belt states. And to some extent underperforming, particularly in Michigan, where she continues to underperform with Arab Americans, Muslim Americans, young black men, and some people in labor. And so again, if your Harris campaign, your path remains, your core path remains the blue wall plus Nebraska too. That's the core. But then the question is, because you need some backup, if you lose one or two blue wall states, are there replacements? Are there replacements? Now, if she loses Michigan and Pennsylvania, which are the two blue wall states she's most likely to lose, if she loses any of them, it's very difficult to replace them both. But it's not impossible, and they have to keep playing that way, and they have enough money to play in all seven states. So if the premise, as shared by some Democrats and many Republicans, is that she needs to do something to change the dynamics here. She needs to be on offense, defining herself and defining Trump on her terms. Then today is an incredibly interesting day because she spent the day still in progress. She's got one more event to do. Pennsylvania with Liz Cheney, Michigan with Liz Cheney, then closing the night with Wisconsin with Liz Cheney. And how she has handled herself today, the messaging she's done, has been quite interesting. As we see in the end of a campaign, if one side thinks it's at least a little bit behind, and again, make no mistake, her campaign still believes the ground game is so superior that if she's a little bit behind, she's going to win. But they still would like to be in a better position in the polling.